actually, things actually froze here. I'll do the intro video now.
No bother.
Welcome back to the channel. We had some technical issues there. But like Liverpool yesterday had a few technical issues in front of the goal. We're going to be talking about all the fallout from Anfield yesterday, where it seemed impossible that we're going to be on here tonight talking about a Man United performance that was good and that they earned a draw. I think everyone had it down as a comfortable Liverpool one. That didn't materialise. Yeah, we're going to be looking at that. We're going to be looking at Arsenal going top of Man City, blew a 2-goal lead away at home to Palace, which shocked the football world as well. What is actually going wrong at Man City? We'll be looking back at ones for Spurs, Chelsea, Newcastle and Villa, as well as looking ahead to the Carabao Cup quarter-finals, which include Liverpool. They take on West Ham on Wednesday night, and we'll be looking ahead to that massive clash at the weekend, which sees the top two. If it's so many top two clashes this season, and we're going to have another one on Saturday as Liverpool play Arsenal. Owen stretching in the background. What's that?
You might not be top two of Villa one on Friday night.
Well, unlikely that Villa won't beat Sheffield, you would think, but as on level playing field, it would be with the equal games at the moment, it would be the top two, wouldn't it? So, big game on Saturday, and we'll finish off talking about that. But Owen's he's not himself today. I can see it in his face. He told me it was impossible that United were going to get anything at Anfield, and that's what happened. It was an absolute bore fest for large parts of the game. I think it heated up a wee bit in the second half. There was a 10-minute spell, I think, where it was end to end. Or not, I don't think it was a particularly good watching. Oh, before we come into the game, me and you actually spoke about this before the game took off, that, Sky built this up as the big clash, to the best game or the biggest game in England. And I don't think anyone would argue it's not the biggest game because of the size of the clubs. But, I mean, if I was drawing up a top 5 of my favourite games to watch, I wouldn't have Liverpool Man United anywhere near it. It's never usually a great game. So, I mean, does it struggle to live up to the hype because of the size of the two clubs? And then also, I think the 7-0 last season for Liverpool, it was always going to be very hard for Liverpool to replicate that.
I was going under it. I didn't think we would whap them 7-0 again, even though I would have loved it. I did say to you yesterday, I thought we would have won 2-0, I think I said. So I wasn't expecting a lot of things to happen that happened yesterday, to be fair, but I wasn't expecting it to be a hiding. But it just, you're right, that it never lives up to the big game ball it gets. And it sort of felt like the whole game was strange. Like, Anfield was surprisingly quiet for the majority of the game, which isn't right for a Man United Liverpool game. Like, we're usually up for it, and for the first 5-10 minutes the crowd was roaring, and then after that it just maybe they were expecting an early goal, and obviously that didn't happen. So I don't know, it felt like a strange day yesterday.
Did all the negativity around United favour them on this occasion? Like, a lot of pressure was on Liverpool. Everyone was expecting them. They won quite well. Like, Meats was on here in Friday, and he was saying 4 or 5-0. A lot of fans were saying it could be close to the 7. But I mean, football does throw up anomalies at times, and that 7-0 last year was an anomaly. You don't see teams in the Premier League beat 7-0 very often. Never mind Liverpool Man United games finishing 7-0. I know there has been a few. There's been a 4-0. There's been a 5-0, but 7 is something that we don't see quite often. And for me, football throws up anomalies, and this was one last season. And I think any Liverpool fan that expected Liverpool just to steamroll them was never ever going to play it that way, I thought.
No, I thought if we were to win, it would have been 1 or 2-0, but it probably did help United, but that nobody, like, literally, I don't even think United fans thought they were going to get
They had nothing to lose. They had nothing to lose, really.
No. And then when you see them on social media today, you would swear they won the World Cup. But that's a different story.
We'll come on that. What we're going to do is we're going to focus on Liverpool for now. We're going to focus on Liverpool for now, and then we're going to focus on United. So, I mean, a lot of talk around Liverpool as potential title challengers. You know, they were top of the league going into this game, but I don't want to be too harsh because they're still second, but I haven't been that impressed with them over the last month or so. I think a lot of their wins have been fortunate. And I mean,
they're right, to be honest, but we were getting wins. So.
was them per performances papered over by good results? Because Fulham, it was quite fortunate. There was 3 absolute screamers from outside the box going. Sheffield United wasn't a great game. You know, it was 1-0 right up to the end, and that goal came from a corner. And I think against Crystal Palace, they were heading for defeat only for the fortunate red card, I thought. And then they get deflection, and Harvey Elliott scores another screamer. You know, Salah's the only player in the front 3 to score a goal in the last 3 games. You know, and that was a deflection against Palace. So they haven't been firing on all cylinders. And I mean, don't want to say luck, but, you know, that it swung the other way yesterday, where maybe when they were getting that wee bit of the rub of the green way, deflections and screamers going on yesterday, you know, we've seen Trent's one just go past the post, a couple of, you know, challenges in the box where it didn't fall for a Liverpool player, fell the United player. Did their luck kind of run out a wee bit yesterday in that game?
It seemed like it, and it isn't the best game for your luck to run out, is it? But when you look at that game yesterday, like we had so many chances, they put players on in better opportunities, and we were just shooting from stupid angles that we were never going to. Like there was one where
I think Shablowski had one from about 35 yards and went streaming over the bar.
He had one, and then Gakpo had one when Trent was running on the outside of him, and he could have played him in, and there was a tap in there for somebody. And there was the one where there was like a mix up inside the box.
Gakpo actually had an opportunity to shoot, then he didn't shoot, and he done a full 360 turn and dragged one wide. You know, that sort of summed. I thought that summed up Liverpool yesterday.
My head was going at that point, and then there was one. Do you remember when Nunez decided they stopped running for some reason when the ball was there to be tapped on? And you're like, what are you doing?
This one of the times he was onside because he spent most of the game being flagged offside.
I'm one of Nunez's biggest fans, but my patience is starting to wear thin a bit.
Speak about Nunez. He's been a regular on this podcast this season, and that's largely down to Liverpool fans telling me he's brilliant. But Callum's is 10 points from 12 in the last 4. It's been very lucky. We could fall off a cliff when Salah leaves in January. I mean, is that a big concern?
I don't think so.
Everyone keeps telling me this.
Missing that much.
Well, he's going to be missing in the African Cup of Nations, isn't he?
But I think it's only an FA Cup game. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
It depends how far they go.
I suppose. No, if we do miss him for a good period, it is going to be difficult. Well, you can't replace him because we don't have any. Well, Harvey Elliott can play right wing, but I think has best positions in the middle.
As this Liverpool front 5 that everyone talks about, a bit of a myth, because obviously they're all good players on their day, but are any of them consistent apart from Salah? You know, Jota maybe, but he's injured. You know, can you hang your hat on Diaz, on Gakpo, on Nunez? You know, they haven't got the CV of players that score loads and loads of goals in the Premier League, anyway.
No, I think I sent you a message earlier that the front 3 we put out at the minute just doesn't seem to be clicking. And Salah stunk up the place. Him and Sabitzer had the wrong boots on at one point. They were just passing the United players and passing out of play, and my head was going.
Must Jota yesterday losing patience with Nunez. He's frustrating to watch. Him and Diaz need to step up. A bit worried about the Arsenal game. Now need to step up, and I think that game now it feels so different to how it felt last week. You know, everyone was talking about these 2 big games, but we'll come on to Liverpool Arsenal later onwards. So stick by for the. But I mean,
talking about Diaz, like I actually thought Diaz was okay yesterday. I think he was the best out of the forwards. I think some of his touches.
I think he does quite well up until the final. He can run past people. He can pick players on when the game up, but end product just ain't there at the moment. I do think there's more to come from him, and I do think he'll get better.
I thought yesterday, up until the final third, we were all right. Once we got to the final third, we were when Trent had that shot, I was like, when that didn't go on, I was like, nah, it's not our day.
Martin makes a great point about Nunez. He's frustrating to watch, and do you know what? That is the first time, you know, I've seen Liverpool fans turn on him. I've seen on Twitter yesterday. I was on the pub watching it. A lot of Liverpool fans were very frustrated with Nunez. Kept getting caught offside. It's almost like, I think, when you're trying to teach kids how to play football, you teach them to stay onside, and he felt very, very, it felt very amateurish yesterday what he was doing. And this isn't the first time it's happened. He's been caught offside in numerous times the last few games. And I mean, Liverpool fans do like him. But I mean, would he get into any of the other top 6 teams, starting 11 if everyone's fit? Would he get in the Arsenal team, Man City team, Villa team, Spurs team, Newcastle team?
No, he wouldn't at the minute. No.
So why would he be good enough for Liverpool?
I don't know. It's like I like him, and obviously throughout the season I've been saying I think he has a good player. Just sometimes it just doesn't work out at certain clubs. But I think.
Are you beginning to feel? Are you beginning to feel it's going that way? That if it doesn't happen between now and the end of the season, it's probably best he moves on for his own career.
I said earlier on I wouldn't sell him, but when I tend to think about it, like if he doesn't start picking up goals, and not even goals, but the chances he misses is just, it's madness. And doing proper things like a striker should do. Like as I said yesterday, why didn't they fall in that ball? I think he thought we were getting a penalty, but he should have fouled that ball and we had a tap him 1-0, we would have won the game. So it's things like that. Like if that was Jota, we won the game because Jota's ruthless like that. But he's not for some reason. I don't know what it is, because when he has confidence and when he has on form, like he can score. Like as we've seen in the Newcastle game, he comes on, scores 2 goals, scored a great goal against Bournemouth. So I don't know. And it was very lucky not to get sent off.
When he was, remember that last international break, he couldn't have come back in better form. He's brilliant. It was brilliant for Uruguay. He scored goals against Argentina, and somebody else, I think, I'm not sure who the other team was, but scored a great goal against Argentina, who are renowned as 2 of the best teams. And he scored 2 big goals. But he hasn't put the ball in the net once since he came back, and that's 4 weeks ago now. We've had a lot of games between Europa League, Premier League.
10 games without a goal, I think, which is not great for a striker. But I was looking at his stats in all competitions, and like he has 14 goals and assists in 24, which on paper doesn't look that bad. But when you watch him, it's like he should. He can be a 20.
10-week opposition way.
Probably, but it can be a top striker. I just think a lot of it's up here as well.
Yeah, I'm saying that Liverpool don't sell players. They let Keita leave on a free transfer, and we'll have 3 or 4 years in Nunez to go yet. I just think if it doesn't happen for Nunez this year, I just don't see it happening at all. And I think it would be best for him, because he's still a young player, that he would probably be better to move on, because there's no point waiting around the players get injured and then comes on more pressure on.
As we were saying, like you go from Liverpool, no matter where you go, unless you're going to a super club, it's a step down. So, would he go to an Prem club, or would he go back to Portugal, or like?
I think maybe going back into Europe somewhere. But I mean, his confidence looks shot as well. He looks really, really drained of confidence at the moment too, and that's not helping him.
That's what I mean. It's a lot of it's to do up with your confidence, and that's why see when he's on confidence. Like we were out that day when he scored them 2 goals against Newcastle, and when he was 1-3, you had no doubt that he was going to bang him in. And he's that type of player. Once he can go on a run of getting a goal every couple of games and then not get a goal for the next 10. So
if that's not good enough. Liverpool's going to win the league. He's not the answer, is he?
No, but then you could say that where our forwards too, like Gakpo, I don't know how many goals he's got this season. Diaz, I think he's only got 2, and then obviously Jota.
Does he take Richarlison over Nunez at the moment?
Not a chance.
A lot of talk about Van Dijk's comments. Roy Keane threw his spit, and after it, he wasn't happy. I mean,
of course he
did. Before we talk about Roy Keane's backlash, I mean, do you think Van Dijk's comments were fair, or do you think they were slightly disrespectful?
I mean, Van Dijk saying what he feels like Liverpool were the only team trying to win the game, and to be fair, up until we made the substitutions of going there like a 4-2-4, that's the only time they really attacked us. The only chance I remember them having, you can correct me, is the one where Haaland came through and Alisson saved it. Or that, I don't think they had that many chances. So I think
that was probably the best chance in the game, but
Well,
In fact,
Van Dijk's header too from.
For all Liverpool's shots, I mean, it was corners. Yeah, Van Dijk had a header. A lot of them were
Yeah.
a lot of their best chances came set pieces, and he had that trend shot from outside the box. But wasn't the like Onana had him make loads and loads of saves, and they were very wistful in front of the goal.
No, it's but I think listen, if you ask United fans, like if you go to Liverpool and take a point, they're buzzing. They've won the World Cup. If you look on Twitter, but I'm not salty or nothing. But anyway, no, I think it was just Van Dijk was frustrated at the result, and rightly so. We should have put United to the sword, and for Roy Keane to call anyone arrogant makes me laughable because he makes me laugh because he's one of the most arrogant people there is. He forgets that he walked out in his country at a World Cup.
Do you think Roy Keane was out of order then? Questioning Van Dijk's comments.
And what did he say? He has to remember he's at a club that won league in 30 years. Like, what's that got to do with the game?
So I think you're right. Van Dijk was quite frustrated with the game, but I mean, I think it was wrong from to suggest that United weren't trying to win it because there is plenty of ways they won a football match. United's plan was obviously not the give up space, be compact, and then maybe spring and counter attack. So I don't think they were the happier team with the draw, but I don't think they just went there solely to get a 0-0. I think that's probably where Van Dijk's comments were probably over. He said it out of frustration. I think if it had been the day after the game, he probably wouldn't have said it.
I think it was, as you say. Sure, I was on yesterday. You wouldn't want to talk to me yesterday. So, but no, it's like as we've said before. One short of the like I said earlier, I've calmed down now. Maybe I can talk about it. But like when you're in the heat of the moment, there, it's like things happen. So. Hey, in a week's this time next week, nobody will be talking about the Liverpool United game, and it'll be all about the Liverpool Arsenal game on Saturday. So
I mean, that's a massive game on Saturday now. I mean, Martin was just saying there in the comments that he was worried about that game on Saturday. Are you worried about the game on Saturday? Because Arsenal, for me, are a much better side than Man United, and they will definitely cause Liverpool more problems going backwards than United did. But I expect Arsenal to play a similar type of game to United. I don't think they're going to open the game up. We've seen them away at Newcastle, away at Villa. They made the game very tight. They didn't go there and open up. And it'll be up to Liverpool again to open them up. So is that a worry for you that if it is a similar type of game, Arsenal's got more quality on the counter-attack, they hurt them?
100%. I said, I don't know if it was you said it yesterday, but I said to somebody, if we play like we did yesterday against Arsenal, it'll be 3-0 before halftime. Like we'd be out of the game before halftime because even though Arsenal don't have a clinical goal scorer either, they're just a far better team than United. But and I would, if you offer me a point now, I would take it. So that's why I came on it. Before we came on, I said like a lot of the criticism yesterday was overblown. I saw people saying, "Oh, sell Salah, he's finished, Klopp's a clown, blah blah." It's like you have to forget this team. This team has only been really assembled this year. We have a whole new midfield, and we're sitting a point behind top of the league, and we're playing them at the weekend. So, what they say, we go beat Arsenal, we're sitting top at Christmas, and then the whole narrative gets flipped again. So, to be honest, like,
sorry, go ahead.
To be honest, like, I don't care where we're sitting at the moment. It's all about where we're sitting in May. That's my objective this season was to get back into the Champions League, and I think we're on course to get that. And if we can somehow win the league by a miracle, win the league, then happy days. But for me, this season was all about getting back into the Champions League for next year.
Do you think that Liverpool have found themselves in a position because Man City's dropped off that they almost find themselves in a position they didn't plan for, they didn't expect, and that's added a bit of pressure because, as you say, people do forget this is a new team. Klopp basically said that it was about next year, didn't he? He says get back in the Champions League this year and then push for the league next year. So it's almost that it's happened very quickly. And does yesterday's game and all our performances recently show you that this team probably isn't quite there yet for a team that's going to win the league? They're probably still a couple of players short.
We need the one position probably two, but the main position we need an elite centre defensive midfielder because I thought Endo really struggled yesterday, and McAllister is not a CDM, and I know we have Bajcetic coming back from an injury, but he's a young lad, like he can't be sticking him in there, and Thiago, when he comes back, well, he'll probably break his leg and stub it on grass or something. So, but it as I said, we're a new team. Like, and if I was saying to you in the summer, Liverpool will be sitting a point behind leaders at Christmas, like I wouldn't have believed it myself. So I was expecting Liverpool to finish what I think I said third at the start of the season, and if we end the season. If we end the season third, we're Carabao Cup one and a Europa League one, I'll be happy enough.
Mm. Let's talk about the other team that was in that game yesterday. United fans, you say, were very happy. I mean, do you think that they showed a lot of character? Do you go? I mean, you couldn't. A lot of questions about their commitment to Ten Hag, their commitment to the club, but I didn't see any of that yesterday. I thought they were very well organized, and they were flying anti tackles. They were up for the game, and they never let, as much as Liverpool dominated the game, you always felt United never looked like they were going to concede too often in the game. And that was probably the biggest damning verdict for Liverpool. That for as much of the play they had, they didn't do a lot with it. A lot of shots from outside the box, and set pieces was their best route of troubling the goalkeeper. So I mean,
Yep.
do you think that United can build on this, or do you think it was just because it was Liverpool they were up for it, and you could probably see them losing to West Ham next week? How do you see it?
A bit of both. Like they can build on it, but they can also go and lose to West Ham next week. So it just depends on what United turns up on the day. Like it could have been because it was Liverpool and everyone in the week building up to the game was saying, "Oh, United have no chance to get even a point." So a point at Anfield for them probably feels like a one, but some of this, like you seen yesterday, like they had Mainu and Amrabat and their two defensive midfielders. They had McTominay at centre attacking midfield. I do not. I am baffled to know how we didn't break that team down because, to be fair, I thought Varane was excellent, which
It
shows
was.
I don't know something must have gone on there because I don't know why he was dropped, but it seems to be sort of patched up now. Well, I don't know if it's patched up or if it's just because they have a lot of injuries there. But United had a 35-year-old Johnny Evans at the back, and we couldn't get past them.
Oh, he was
But
excellent too. To be
hey, you
fair.
have to uh, give credit where credit's due. Ten Hag set up a team. They frustrated us, and that's what he did. And he got a well deserved point. To be fair,
Do you think it was a deserved point? Because a lot of I was listening to Graham Souness from Talk Sport today. He says United were very lucky, and 9 times out of 10 Liverpool would have
I
won
mean,
that game. Or do you feel that they were well worth the draw?
we didn't play well enough to get the one. So and you know me, I'm not one to give United credit at all. So it's through gritted teeth. You have to say like they did a job on us, and to be fair, they could have won it on the counter attack when Garnacho went through against Trent. I was panicking, but no, you have to say they stood up well, and I would say they dealt with the atmosphere, but the atmosphere was very, as I said at the start, very strange. So hey, they take a
Do you
point
think
and they
that was
move
down to
on, but
Liverpool's maybe I know they're top of the league, but they haven't been playing that well recently. That there hasn't been goals going on left, right, and centre, apart from maybe that Fulham game where they had the 3 long range goals. But other than that they
yeah,
haven't been playing great. And yesterday as well, at times the wrong passes were picked, and it was slow build-up play, not what you typically associate with Liverpool. And I said to you, the last few games I've watched Liverpool, it's been boring, and that's not what you traditionally
I,
associate with Liverpool teams and Jurgen Klopp teams.
no, I don't know why that is because we can blow any team away in our day, and I include Man City in that. Like if we apply if we had have applied ourselves right yesterday, we would have beat them 3 or 4-0. Like if we had to come out of the traps flying, like I expected us to, we would have won comfortably. But I don't know what it is. I know we're sort of playing the same 11, but like maybe it's because he sort of hasn't figured out what they do full time with it because you see Trent too, he starts the game at right back, he finishes the game in CDM, so he's sort of trying to figure out what positions it'll be
Are you worried? Are you
interesting.
worried about Sabozlai's form? The last few games he's been hooked off early.
It wasn't great yesterday to be fair, but hey, as we say, it's a new team and he is still getting used to it. So I'll give him a
Mm.
pass, like, but he's he has a top player and he will come good. I'm convinced of that, but I think he's start of the season probably overhyped it a bit.
Callum's saying that he thinks that United were handed a point by Liverpool, not the hurry round. Again, very similar to Liverpool were off it, and that's why they got the draw. I mean, a lot of calls, well, not just after yesterday's game, but obviously the last few weeks, that Trent should be playing midfield. Against Arsenal, would you change it up? Would you bring Trent on the midfield? They looked a wee bit better, I thought, when Trent was done there. And I think Szoboszlai at times a very talented player, but his decision making at times, shooting from crazy areas of the pitch, picking the wrong pass. His technique's very good. But at the minute, the way Trent's playing, would he benefit Liverpool? Because it seems to be that he doesn't feel he can play Szoboszlai and Trent together. It seems to be the other way. It's one or the other. Because for whatever reason, he seems Szoboszlai comes off, Gomez comes on, and Trent gets on the midfield. So for whatever reason, he doesn't feel empty can play together, I'm guessing. So, I mean, what would you do against Arsenal? Would you bring Trent in and leave Szoboszlai out?
I don't. It depends on, because Gravenberch, I think he's injured, so somebody will have to start instead of him. So
he was terrible.
I actually thought Gravenberch, it was, the whole team was terrible, so I'm not really going to single out one player. To be fair, I actually think our defense was alright. I think Van Dijk dealt well with what I needed to deal with, and Canate was good. But going to Arsenal, I would put Trent in midfield and Gomez at right back. I said yesterday before the game we should have done that against United. I think I trust Gomez more defensively at right back than I do Trent, because you've seen a few times when people were getting past him, he just sort of let them through. But I think with Gomez there, we're definitely more solid defensively. We lose that attacking threat down the right flank, but with Trent in midfield, like, he has passings the best in the league, bar probably Kevin De Bruyne. So my midfield for Arsenal would probably be Trent, Elliott, and I would have to put Szoboszlai in there, because I don't trust Jones from the start.
Let's come back to Man United, because a lot of people praised it, and then some people looked on a negative the way they approached the game. People were saying, I remember Jose Mourinho was absolutely hammered for going there and setting up for a 0-0 draw and being very defensive. It was very similar yesterday. A lot of people says that if they opened up, they would be naive and they would get blown away. So maybe they were forced to shut up shop. But I heard a United fan say the day we set up to play in Anfield, like, that shows how far this club's fallen, that they approached it almost that they were completely inferior to Liverpool. I mean, does that show you where United are at the moment, that they feel that the only way they could get a result yesterday was by being defensive and shutting up shop?
I don't think we would go defensive or shut up shop when we play them at Old Trafford later on. We go for it, so it does show that there is, not by yesterday's performance, but there is a gap in the two. There is a gap in the two clubs at the minute. Liverpool's going, despite us not playing great in recent games. I think we are on an upwards trajectory where they're sort of stagnating in mid-table, but as you say, a few wins and a few results could put them back up within top four. And as I said earlier, you wouldn't be surprised if United lose to West Ham at the weekend. So it just depends on what United turn up on the day. And yesterday, unfortunately, they turned up and decided they shut up shop and frustrate Liverpool, and they did. But it does show where they're at, when their fans are celebrating a 0-0 draw at Anfield. I'll assure you, if we draw at Old Trafford,
what do you think of the celebrations? Because it was on the pub, and when the final also went, a lot of United fans were jumping around the pub and giving it to Liverpool fans and saying that they're not as good as they think they are, and it was a draw. I've never seen a draw celebrated as much, to be totally honest. But I mean, what did you think of the celebrations? Do you think they were over the top and that it was only a draw, it wasn't a victory?
Maybe it's because everyone was so confident going in that Liverpool would win comfortably. It sort of reminded me of the Spurs celebrations when they beat us 2-1, as if they were going on. They won the World Cup. Some of the players, and I was like, "What are you at? Like, it's one game. You beat 9 men. Happy days." But no. As I said there, like, if we get a 0-0 draw at Old Trafford, I'll not be jumping around my sofa going mental. So it was a bit over the top for me. But
Roy Keane again was quick. He was quick to stamp out this as well, because he was saying, I remember loads of times we played Liverpool and they got a draw, and they were celebrating the same when we were in our pump. So I mean, are Liverpool fans being a bit salty when they're saying that? Because It wasn't so long ago under the likes of trying to think Dalglish and Roy Hodgson days where they would have bet your hand off for a draw at Old Trafford.
I would have took a draw, but I wouldn't have been celebrating the way they're celebrating. Though. I would have been happy with a draw, but I think it was a bit over the top. But hey, each to their own. Whatever way you want to celebrate your team, you can.
Yeah. I like Joey Dagger about Spurs there, trying to get me rattled. You know I'm not going to fall for stuff like that, don't you?
Had to get that.
I mean, Ten Hag, I mean, he's been under a lot of pressure. He seems to be able to get a result when he needs one, though. And you know, he got a result against Chelsea under pressure, and then he went and lost to Bournemouth. Pressure was back on after the Bayern Munich game when they went out of Champions League, got a draw at Anfield. So, I mean, at all points, they'll probably lose against West Ham. But as you say, you just don't know what away. You just don't know what United are going to turn up. But I mean, do you think that draw, regardless of what happens in the next couple of games, probably buys them some time that they've went to Liverpool and they're the first team to take a point off them at Anfield for quite a while now?
I probably buys them an extra few weeks. I think he'll get the. I do think he'll get the end of the season because with the new coming.
Well, you said to me the other day that he probably wouldn't get the full time in this game.
Aye, shows you how much football can change. But no, when you do take a point off Liverpool like at Anfield, when you're in the way United are at the minute, it will buy him time. I think it depends on what the new owners want to do because there's been a lot of talk about Graham Potter, which I don't know if there's much truth in that, but it seems to be if Ten Hag does go, that Potter will be in, so that would be interesting. But it all depends on. Again, it's sort of the same as Ragnick. Like it'll start well and then they'll lose a game and then the players will drop their heads. That's what they do at United. It's the same at Chelsea, and but it'll be interesting to see what United do in January. I've seen them like with a boy from the Bundesliga. I don't know if you've seen that. It was on Sky Sports the other day. He's from one of them African countries. I haven't watched much of them to be fair, but they're linked with a few people in January, so it'll be interesting to see.
Better than Darwin Nunez?
Well, I haven't watched them play once, so I couldn't tell you. But
can he stay on side?
I could probably stay on side to be fair. But
I mean, so you think he might get some time? Do you think United can use that and improve? I mean, what should their aspirations be between now and the end of the season? I mean, do you think is the top four still there for them? You know, can they finish in the top four?
They can, but like I think any team who's in the top 6 at the minute could finish in either one of them positions, and I include Man City in that. They probably won't, but like they're not great at the minute. Spurs are up and down. Like you don't know what they're going to do, and then you have obviously Liverpool who are faltering a wee bit. So it's there. If I was a United fan, I'd be top four. Top four would be my main aim. Like.
I'll tell you what, I think if they finish in the top 4, it would almost feel like winning the league after what they've been through this year. But I just don't see it. I think there's better teams ahead of them and all-round better teams than them. I'm going to speak about some of them teams that are on, but I mean, probably the biggest shock of the weekend. Well, I don't know, you could call the shock maybe an Anfield as well, but another big shock came Man City blew a 2-goal lead against Crystal Palace at home. I mean, I couldn't believe I was watching. I mean, they were
Palace actually have a good record there too.
Seems to be Palace and Spurs. They can't seem to string consecutive results against them. But I mean, 2-0 up, cruising, Crystal Palace. I mean, if you need a cure for insomnia, I'm done. Crystal Palace could be the answer because I mean they are dreadful to watch. But 2-0 up, cruising, give away a soft goal, and then they completely put themselves under all this pressure at the end. And Foden does something that is very out of character, and he just completely panics and kicks the Crystal Palace player penalty.
I saw people saying that wasn't a penalty, but I don't know how because it was a clear penalty.
For me, it was a penalty, and Elise,
that was clear.
When he was stepping up, you know what? I thought this is a big penalty because it's away at Man City, the champions. Palace were under pressure, but I mean, he took it well, booked it into the corner, and the Palace away and the erupts, and they leave Man City with somehow. I mean,
like
I think when people say United Palace were extremely lucky to get a point because they were not in the game at all. And City in the end they'll feel like defeat for
Uh, you could have flipped that to be Palace because they probably didn't deserve nothing from the City game, but they deserve something from the Liverpool game. So it is. It's funny how football changes from one week to the next. But
Man
I
City.
thought,
Unfortunately, Man City don't have Liverpool's luck. So
well, sometimes they do, but that's another conversation. My tinfoil hat. But
well,
no, I thought.
you're already bashing them today, saying that they get another easy draw in the Champions League.
No, to be fair, I think a lot of that was just coming from my frustration from yesterday. Like, I just anything was a target today. But no, I don't know what's going on in Man City. On it, they just don't seem they don't scare me. Like usually when Man City play games, it's like, oh, you're getting beat here. But it wasn't so long ago we were talking about them having this great record that they had against, like, I think before we drew with them, they won every game there, and they haven't won a game there since.
Mm.
So it's
they're all over the show at home at the moment. They 3 draws in a row, I think.
I know, and they were fortunate to beat Luton as well last week. Like that could have turned out to be, just as a break in the just talking about Luton. Obviously, we've seen what happened at the weekend. Hope it all goes well for Tom Lockyer. Hope it's not too serious for him.
The stress and scenes. I mean, that was terrible. Like, really, the lads got health issues, and you said it's the first time it happened.
Nah, so you never want to see that, no matter who you support. But I don't know what it is with Man City. They just don't seem. I seen De Bruyne's back in training today, so that could be a big boost for him in the second half of the season. But it's not like Man City. They drop these sort of points. They Palace or they Luton, even though they didn't in the end, and they lost to Villa, obviously. So I don't know. Maybe it's a thing you've seen from Liverpool last season. We played every game as well, just as City done last season, and it does have an effect on you because we were awful last season, and Man City are sort of stumbling at the minute, and they're away at the Club World Cup now, so they will have a bit of ground to make up when they come back. Obviously, they're capable of doing it, but the way they're playing this season, like you wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of teams nick a point or two off them, as we've seen already. I think. Well, who's their next Premier League game? I think it's
Everton away.
It's on the 20th, and that's no easy feat at the minute. Everton are playing.
Everton are playing. They play Spurs next, so that'll be interesting. But I mean, as you say, they do seem to be having a drop off, and maybe that was down to playing all them games last season. As you say, it happened to Liverpool the year before. I mean, I never thought I would say it, but Man City are down to the bare bones. They look so thin in the squad. I've never seen them this exposed. They've had a lot of injuries. And De Bruyne's must has never been must more than in the last few games. But having said that, Kevin De Bruyne's absence was nothing to do with them blowing that 2-goal lead. Fair enough if he had been playing, maybe they score more goals, but they should still be able to get a 2-goal lead without Kevin De Bruyne. So this whole farcical about De Bruyne had nothing to do with that 2-goal collapse. So mentally, I'm just starting to think they've lost a lot of leads. We've seen it. They lost the lead against Liverpool. They got themselves in front twice against Spurs and blew it. They got themselves in front against Palace 2-0 up and blew it. So psychologically at the minute, I just think confidence is quite brittle.
And you don't associate that with a Pep team, and even he looks to be feeling it a bit. You see with every decision, he seems to be finding ways to complain about it. And when you're in a high pressure situation like you are Man City, when you expect, like, let's be honest, Man City one day every game.
He said he was watching Klopp last year, so he said he was going to start doing it himself.
I think I think once you're on a top job and things don't go your way, it can it does affect you. We've seen it with Arteta. He flops at everything, but and Klopp does as well at times. But I don't know. It's strange. Like if you were to ask me now, I do still think they'll win the league, but as the weeks keep going, like you're thinking, is it Arsenal's year? Is it Liverpool's year?
I think the problem at the minute is teams aren't taking enough advantage of Man City's. They're only 5 points behind. They've come back from bigger leads before. That I think there's an opportunity there for at least one team to go on and win it, but I just don't think at the minute anyone's consistent enough to build up a massive gap between them and Man City. I know there's going to be an opportunity now with them not playing next week, but Liverpool play Arsenal, so again that could end up in a draw, and they might only find themselves 6 points behind with a game in hand. And that is not a big gap at all.
It's not though, but I'll flip it back to Man City. Man City themselves don't look like a team that can at the minute that can mount a big gap.
James is saying he get the feeling he might walk away from it. He's thinking he said nothing. Interestingly, I was reading a Spanish football expert's column there today, and he was saying that Pep's body language, the way he's going on, all points to kind of how he finishes at clubs. So do you think there is a chance that this might be his last season here at Man City?
I mean,
you know, what more can he possibly achieve if they won the league this year? You know, he's broke the Premier League record. I mean, I think he might feel maybe at the end of the season it might be the right time to step away, because I think definitely, and I don't want to, we're only speculating, but I do think a lot of the players in that dressing room, motivation now is it probably need to change around a lot of the players, because they've basically achieved everything they can achieve at Man City. We've seen it with Liverpool. Mane moved on. You know, all our players, Henderson, they've all moved on because in the end it became quite stale. And maybe that there could be something that's happening in Man City.
Maybe the only thing they haven't won is the Club World Cup. So if they go on and win that, like maybe James is on to something. Like
I think he's desperate. He's desperate for that Premier League record too. No team's ever won it 4 times. I think he's desperate for it 4 times in a row.
I think if he wins it this year, if he wins the Champions League again and wins the league again, I think we could be on to something like Pep going. But when he eventually leaves Man City, it reminds me a bit of when Klopp leaves Liverpool. Like, who comes in to replace him? Like, there's no one going to do.
I would say that they a party in Liverpool if Pep decides they leave in the season.
Probably, but like
I heard that Gary Neville recommended that if Pep goes, he should look at Big Ange.
Don't even start.
Did you see Big Ange going to Man City?
No, not yet. I honestly don't know. Bailing before the
What were you saying there? Sorry.
I don't even. There's not a standout candidate for me who could replace Pep. Like, there's no one. I hear a while.
I hope for our sake it's not Big Ange, you know. I hope it's not Big Ange, because it's one of them things. I think if Man City come on for you, the minute player or manager, very difficult to turn them down because they're what they've been doing over the last few years.
If I was to guess, it would be Roberto De Zerbi. I think they might go for.
Let's stay with Man City, because a lot of focus has come on to this summer recruitment that they had. Notoriously very good recruiters, but you know, Laporte's moved on. Has Gabriel better than Laporte? Not that I've seen so far. You know, Gundogan's left. Kovacic come on. Is Kovacic better than Gundogan? Not for me. And Dockie's come on. He's probably been the one bright spark. But I mean, Mahrez was a consistent. You know, Dockie's very good on the A, but does he produce enough goals, assists, output compared to someone like Mahrez? So you could argue that they've been weakened by that recruitment. I know, again, we talked about possibly having to move players on. And then for me, the one I can't get my head around, and Jamie Nunez on here and he says 45 million, it was great business selling Palmer. But he's been Chelsea's best player, and I think he would definitely make an impact in this Man City side.
For me though, the biggest maybe he wanted to go, but the biggest mistake for me was Gundogan. I think Gundogan's a fantastic player. Like I think when Klopp first came on to Liverpool, he wanted him because he played with him at Dortmund. So I think Klopp wanted Gundogan, and I think Gundogan's a great player. And you seen last season, like he came up with a goal. They won a game here and there. So. And
he was instrumental in them title runs.
He scored a very few important goals. They won them the league in the end. And then, as you say, Cole Palmer. When you're getting 45 million for a youth player, you're going to take it. But I can't see why he wouldn't get into this Man City side at the minute, because he can pick a pass, he can score a goal. He's tidy on the ball. He's a very good young player, and I wouldn't be surprised if Gareth Southgate's having a look at him. They take him to the Euros in the summer if he keeps his form.
I think Southgate only looks at players that are not performing well, to be honest.
But then he takes Calvin Phillips.
Exactly. I think if it makes sense, it doesn't make sense for Southgate, but we'll see. I mean, we spoke about it briefly there now. You know, we spoke about, you know, the door being open, but no one really has claimed himself as title favourites yet. You know, very tight at the top. You know, we were speaking about Spurs there over a number of weeks, and we went through a bad run. but they find themselves only 6 points away after going on a run of 1 point out of 15. So that tells me the standard of this league, although it's entertaining, this is probably the weakest we've had in terms of points for a long time, because at the minute we're on course for a mid 80s. They won this league this season, and it's usually been mid 90s. So, how do you sum it up? Do you feel that if Man City do win the league this year, all them teams around them will look at it as a massive missed opportunity?
100%. Like, Man City don't drop the points that they're dropping now, that they wouldn't have dropped that last season. No doubt in my mind, they wouldn't have dropped that last season. It will be, if Man City do win the league, it will be a missed opportunity, because even though Liverpool dropped points Tuesday and we're not playing that well at the minute, we can still win it. Arsenal can still win it. I'm going to follow it somehow. Could win it. It's like, I'm not rolling them out just yet, but it's mad. Like, as you say, it is muddy. It's going to be like what, mid 80s, 85 points maybe they win the league if it keeps going the way it's going. So, see, if a team wins the league with 85 points, and it's not Liverpool, it'll annoy me even more because of the points we've brought up in past years and not won the league. So it is there for
at the minute. It's all set. I think over the last few seasons, there's been like a 17 to 24 point gap between second and third place. At the minute, that's not materializing either. We were saying that might need 85 points to win the league, but you might need 75 to make top four. So many teams in the mix. How many teams do you think realistically are on this title race? Because at the minute, everyone's really focusing on Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal. Villa's name's been mentioned. Spurs' name's been mentioned at times. At the minute, how do you assess it? How many teams do you think are realistically in a chance?
I still think it's Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City. It's going to come out of them, one of them three. It's just the way I think at the minute. I think Villa's away form could cost them, even though they got a good one. They got a good one yesterday, but they're not normally great away from home. I think
they've had some fortunate results this season as well, because again the red card went their way. You could argue them last two away ones they've had, Brentford and Spurs, they were very fortunate. They won them two games, but you need a wee bit of luck when you're in there as Liverpool. Ready to know about it.
And then Arsenal got a bit of luck too against Brentford, and then Arsenal didn't get a bit of luck against Newcastle. I think if somebody out of Liverpool and Arsenal won this game at the weekend, I would put them as favourites. That's the way I see it.
And if it's a draw,
then
do you think if it's a draw, the only team that it favours is Man City, really?
If it's a draw, Man City will be licking their lips. But I think if I'm going to say now, if Arsenal beat us, they're favourites. If we beat them, I think we're favourites.
Well, I'll tell you this, right? People read on the Christmas, the Christmas Day table, whatever way it looks on Christmas Day. It's never usually far off what it looks like at the end of the season. Obviously, there's still a full cycle of games to go. Everyone's got to play everyone again. But we are in a position now. I don't think anyone imagined this and before a ball was kicked. But if Aston Villa beat Sheffield United at home on Friday night and Liverpool and Arsenal draw, Villa will be top on Christmas Day.
I can't. There's as much as see if Villa won the league, fair play. That's all you can say.
Would you rather see Villa than Man City?
Yes.
Would you not be frustrated though if, say, Villa PUBG's be a point?
Oh, of course, I'd be raging now, but I'd be happy it wasn't Man City.
James is saying that maybe Spurs because they're playing better football than Aston Villa. I actually think James were playing better football than Liverpool at the minute. I don't think Owen will agree, but
no, I agree to that. As I said the other, I don't think he's at your best on Friday night, but you have to get the ones.
Do you think Spurs are just a wee bit naive and a wee bit inexperienced? We've seen a lot of red cards, suspensions are building up. It's almost as if they're just not ready for anything like this. There's a lot of learning to do, and it's a very young team.
Spurs sort of remind me of Arsenal last season in a way. They had no European football, more or less. They had a very young team. I think maybe next season, if Spurs get a few additions in, they could be dangerous. But these are very ill-disciplined for me at the minute. These are getting a wild lot of suspensions. Obviously, the injuries aren't helping, as you like to mention. But
well, to be totally honest with you, I can't have any complaints about this Everton game because we've lost two more players and they're both the suspensions, so that's our own fault. Basuma, I don't know what Basuma was thinking. To be honest, the Udogie one wasn't a yellow card, but to be honest, he's another player that I'm a massive fan of him, but in recent games too, he's been losing his head. He needs to get that under
Well,
control.
is Basuma out for 4 games now?
4 games plus he's away to the African Cup of Nations, so we're probably not going to see him sometime in late January, maybe February.
And I thought, obviously, we'll go the Newcastle game. I thought Romero was very lucky to escape a red card as well. But that boy's a walking.
Do you feel at the moment you just couldn't trust the Spurs team? They've Everton at home on Saturday. That's going to be a difficult game because Everton's on form. But I mean, wouldn't be surprised if Spurs chucked it there against them, would you?
No, I wouldn't be surprised if Everton get a result. I do think Spurs will win, but I think it'll be a very tough one. But
I'm at the point where Spurs are at. I'm almost back. I'm banking on them every week. They play well, but I'm just not sure if we're going to win. It's almost as if missing chances. Are we going to get a man sent off? Are we going to do something silly like cost ourselves with a mistake? That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I don't think you can dispute how good they already watch, but you can definitely make a case for them being their own worst enemy.
It's like some games I've watched. He's like the Newcastle game. I know he's won it 4-1 in the end, but it could have been 4-0 at halftime. Never mind the full result. And then the Villa game where they beat you 2-1, you should have had them out of sight easily. The only game that I can think of Spurs not playing really well in was the Wolves game.
The Wolves game, let's look at the rest of the results from the weekend. Arsenal beat Brighton, and that sent them top of the league. And the only way they were going to be displaced was if Liverpool beat United, which didn't happen and ended on a draw. So Arsenal are top of the league, and well, they won't be top, but probably by the time they kick off on Saturday, because we would expect Villa to beat Sheffield United at home. But Arsenal will have an opportunity to go back to the top of the league. Liverpool also will have that opportunity as well. If they go and beat Arsenal, I think they would lead Villa on goal difference, even if Villa won. Is that right?
We would. I think so.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a flop flop. We're seeing different. We've had so many different teams top of the league now. Arsenal's now top. I mean, have you been impressed with Arsenal this season? I mean, not been maybe as free flowing as they've been last season, but they're strong at the back and they're finding ways they won even when they're not their best.
I think so far this season
they did play quite well yesterday, to be fair though.
I was watching the game yesterday. This game here, they should have been at least 3-0 at halftime. They absolutely dominated Brighton, and then they got the lead through Jesus's header, and then was it Havertz scored the second goal?
Yeah.
He seemed to find a bit of form, which Chelsea fans aren't enjoying because they were giving him a wild lot of stick at the start. But as you were saying, have I been impressed with Arsenal? Like, I haven't been impressed with many teams this season, to be fair. Like Liverpool haven't hit their stride yet, and that in a way is a scary thing because once teams hit their stride, it could be a very exciting end of the season. But Arsenal, they're a tough team to break down, and we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle to break them down to the weekend if we play like that. We play like we did against United. So it will be a tough game, obviously, and I think it's a tough one for the title rest of the season. Like as you say, it's flip flopping. Like we could see
every week you feel that you can't trust any of these teams to go on a run at the moment. I mean, that's going to be a great game on Saturday. We're going to preview that before we go off. But I mean, ones for spoke a wee bit about Spurs, Chelsea, Newcastle, Villa. It all kicked off on Friday night. Spurs winning away at Nottingham Forest. Who have fought Nottingham Forest were excellent. They really played. If you ever want an example of a team playing for a manager, I mean, they were running through brick walls from. I don't quite know why Yates stayed in the pitch, but he set the tempo for them.
I was just going to come on to that. Like I only seen the second half because I was out, but I seen the highlights then of the first half. I seen he was just kicking people and booting people, but that's what you want when you're playing a team like Spurs. You have to put them off their game. You have to boot them about the pitch, and I thought I hate to say it, but Richarlison seems to be
the pigeon is back, so yes. The Richarlison renaissance continues. I mean, I don't think he's the answer, but he's doing a job at the moment.
I just don't like him. Maybe I
think one man who's really stepped up this season and he's been really influential since his Madison's injury has been Kulusevski. I mean, he's been excellent recently.
He's probably been the best. He's probably been the best player in the league, probably in the last few games.
I've seen he's actually created the most chances from open play in the league.
I'm surprised at that. I thought that would have been like Trent or someone because he always creates something. But
I think it shows you how many chances Spurs are creating, but they're not putting them away.
I said to you and I said to you a few times, if Spurs had Kane in this team, I would put you up in the title race. Like,
Chelsea got a big one against Sheffield United. They needed to get that one to relieve a wee bit of pressure. They got it. Wasn't a classic.
no,
I mean,
wasn't a great game.
no, I mean, I think it's very much for, I think, as Pochettino says, let's get the January and let's open the checkbook again. I mean, what do you think of that?
Like, I'm surprised there's anything left in the checkbook at this point. Because they've spent that much in the summer and then previous windows. But I wonder what will come back to catch up to them because the Premier League must be watching what they're spending at this point. Like, if they go in January and spend, I don't know, just say they spend or 200, 150, 200 million in January, like, there has to be consequences. They can't keep just going buying everything they see. But I think they definitely need a top class striker. Same as Liverpool. Like we need a top class striker. Both teams do.
Newcastle are another team that are probably looking to get to January because we know they're going to spend. Good one against Fulham, help with the 10 men at Fulham.
Did you see the red card? I don't know what Jimenez was doing.
I think it was probably right, but it was harsh because he actually tries to pull out of the tackle, but he just can't stop himself, and it is dangerous. You know, he's flew on them like a train, isn't he? And it's a head. He catches him, doesn't he, in the head? So I think it's clumsy, and he's probably unfortunate, but it probably is Bill Ederall red card. And you know, we're hearing, and I know you're not going to like this one, but we're hearing that Newcastle are really going to possibly sabotage that that new rule that's allowed, where you can go to Saudi and get a load of loans. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? If we're hearing that Newcastle might bring up the 3 players on loan in from the Saudi league.
I that doesn't sit right with me. Like I wouldn't want that if Liverpool were on that. You shouldn't be allowed to buy players from clubs owned by the same people.
I think the Premier League teams are going to rue this opportunity because they had the vote on this and they need a 2/3 majority and they're one club short. I think Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, Wolves. I can't remember who they are. There were 6 teams voted against it. They needed 15 out of the 20, I think. They needed 14 out of. They needed 14 teams out of 20 and 7 voted against. It was 13-7.
I don't know why they give the people who are owned by billionaires they vote because they're obviously going to vote for it to be allowed.
James is saying if Arsenal were to buy Tony from, I think he means Brentford. Unless there's another Tony at Bradford he thinks can do a job, but I think he would make them favourites. I mean, do you think if Arsenal were to go and sign Tony, you would be feared that they would probably be the strongest?
I don't know because it depends how Tony comes back. He hasn't played football in 8 months. Like I know.
I agree. It's a gamble. I mean, Villa.
I see what you did there.
Villa. They were under pressure, come back from 1-0 down, helped by the 10 men. It was a very feisty game. I think there was 2 red cards, but there was a lot of yellow cards. It actually ended up being more bookings and red cards than the Spurs game, Chelsea game, but it ended up worse than that. So I can only imagine.
You see all the walking celebration?
Well, he gave it to Brentford, didn't he? He used to play for them.
Apparently, I was listening to his interview. Apparently, there was a boy behind them all game giving him resist abuse, so he just gave it back to him when he scored.
We were chatting about that Newcastle maybe taking advantage of that rule, but I mean, I think that the worrying thing is that they could effectively get around the FFP with this rule because say they were under pressure in the summer and they sold Bruno Guimaraes to their sister club in Saudi, they can effectively sell Bruno for 100 million and then that team can loan him straight back.
Nah, that's a joke, isn't it?
Which is crazy.
It shouldn't be happening. Like I'm gonna be blue in the fist, but as you said earlier to me, like it seems to be like all teams are gonna be state-owned at some point. It just seems to be like it's going that way, and I don't know if that's better or worse for the league because everyone's gonna be fighting for the best players. Chelsea aren't state-owned. Well, there's a debate about that, and then obviously you have look at the other teams like Liverpool aren't state-owned, and you know my feeling on the owners. And Spurs aren't state-owned, and you don't really like your owners, if I'm right.
Well, I'm going to pull you up on this because you, as I said to you today, you were telling me that these owners don't spend and you want to see them open the checkbook. So is that not being a bit contradictory that you're saying spend, 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 and then you're hammering Chelsea's and the Man Cities and the Newcastle's of the world for spending?
It is. I don't. Well, my point on FSG is I don't expect them to go and spend a billion. That's not my point. But my point is they can be doing a whole lot more than they are. They've bought players. They bought Van Dijk for whatever it was.
So you don't want to see a world class defensive midfielder and a world class striker coming in January. That's not right.
I do like if we go and sign a player for 100 million, I'll be happy. But I don't want to stay over it.
Nah, it's just not okay when our team do it, but it's okay if Liverpool do it.
No. My point is, I don't want it to get to that point where we're in trouble, like Chelsea are, like Man City are. Like I want it to be balanced. Like, but I generally think if we say Liverpool go and buy Polina in January, I don't think we will, but that would be what 80 million.
I'd be happy with that. May end up doing is maybe like a loan deal for like Calvin Phillips or something like that. Might be more likely.
See if Calvin Phillips comes to Liverpool and don't
deadline day. No, I don't think that'll happen. I think they would have done that this summer if they were looking at something like that. I think Polina, watch Polina, that could move. That could definitely move.
I've seen today. I seen today. No, you'd be looking through Twitter today. I seen Arsenal around for him, City around for him, and I think Liverpool would.
Well, I think that only favours Fulham because they can hold an auction if all these teams are wanting them.
And then Bayern may come back.
I don't think, and as we've seen with before, Liverpool don't like to get involved in bottom wars, so I don't think it suits them if there's other teams queuing up.
No, and I think definitely in the summer, I would go for a CDM and a striker, and depending on what happens with Salah, a right winger.
Let's look ahead to the League Cup quarterfinals. They're on this week. I think the live game tomorrow is Chelsea Newcastle, and the live game on Wednesday is Liverpool West Ham, and we're also going to have 2 hour games on tomorrow night. Everton against Fulham and Port Vale against Middlesbrough. I mean, I don't think it's the greatest quarterfinal lineup we have, but it's some football in the lead up to Christmas. So I'm sure plenty will be watching. I mean, where does this rank in Liverpool's priorities this season for you?
If you get to this point, you go for it. Like I'm the type of person with the League Cup. If we get knocked out in the first round we play in, I'm not too bothered. But if you get to this point, go for it.
I just wonder. Obviously, there's been a lot of football played since the last round of this cup. I think the last game was played at the end of October, so 2 months have passed. I mean, and Liverpool now find themselves in a position where they're 1 point off top, could potentially go top of the weekend. If they won this, there's a 2-legged semi-final. They take place in January. Then there's the FA Cup, which if they were to draw with Arsenal, they'd have to play a replay against Arsenal. So they could potentially play a hell of a lot more games in January than some of their rivals. So, I mean, do you think Klopp will look at this and go, I'm not sure if this suits us spinning this? Or do you think he'll go, do you know what? We're on it now. Let's try and get a trophy in the cabinet.
Like you seen it the year we won it. We went for it, so why not go for it now? I do think it'll rotate. Like I think you'll see a completely different starting 11 on Wednesday. I think it'll be like I think you'll see the likes of Harvey Elliott, Gakpo, Ben Doken all starting. So I don't think. I think so.
Well, see if he does go with that, see if he makes 8 or 9 changes, I would expect West Ham to go full strength. So, would you think that makes it an even game?
But I think we also playing Arsenal the weekend. He has to make changes because we have to be up for that one because we're just saying it. But we have to be up for the Arsenal one. The Arsenal one's the big priority because if we go and beat Arsenal, then it's the United game gets forgotten about, doesn't it?
And as you say, Arsenal have the week off too, so that probably favours England in this game. But I mean, who do you think? Well, Liverpool are probably the favourites. They won this competition. Who would be the one team you'd want to avoid between now and the final?
Everton.
Would you rather play Newcastle over 2 games or Chelsea?
I generally would. I think Everton are dangerous. And obviously,
would you prefer? Obviously, you're right. When if Liverpool are on the draw on Wednesday night, you'll be praying that it's the one at Port Vale and Middlesbrough for the 2 legs.
if we get that, I'll be booking my ticket to Wembley.
James is saying Newcastle for me. I mean, I think that will be the final. Everyone will want to see Liverpool against Newcastle, maybe Liverpool Everton, but I just think in terms of the level, I think Liverpool Newcastle would probably be the best game if this was the
I would be back.
I think that would be a very even final.
It would be. It would be back-to-back finals for Newcastle as well.
So they're definitely going to go full strength. I mean, let's look ahead to the weekend. Christmas weekend. So much football to look forward to over the next sort of 7 or 8 days.
I'm more looking forward to the fact that like you'll get to see my pain if we lose in person.
That's up. We're all going to watch it. So
what we in the times we've been out, Liverpool haven't lost yet. So fingers crossed.
They've won every game.
No, we drew away from at the start of last season.
That's right. So they did. So I mean, how are you feeling ahead of this game on Saturday? The sense that Liverpool will be better than they were last week, or better than they were the weekend?
I don't know. Like honestly, at the moment, I don't know what Liverpool turns up.
If we were to lose this game, do you feel that the title will be gone?
No, not necessarily, because it's only 4 points, and Arsenal will slip up again, and Liverpool will obviously slip up again. And Man City at the minute, you can't bank on them. I wouldn't say we'd be out of it, but I would say it definitely would. It definitely wouldn't put us in a strong position, obviously.
I'm actually hoping that this game finishes a draw. Hopefully, we beat Everton beforehand, and then I think we're back in the race. We're back in the race.
Would you not want a Liverpool win because it's Arsenal? No.
If it was the last game of the season, I want a Liverpool win, but I haven't given up yet.
Well, no. The only Arsenal. No, Liverpool Arsenal is always a game that excites me. We were talking about that at the start. Like, what's the best games in England? Liverpool Arsenal have thrown up a few exciting games. Obviously, the game at Anfield last year, Arsenal were going for the title. They were 2-0 up and then they blew it. So hopefully
famous game. I think I always remember the Arshavin 4 goals. That was probably
4-4.
And then the FA Cup final too, wasn't it? Michael Owen got 2 goals. Somehow Arsenal have won that game. They battered Liverpool for 90 minutes.
And then I think there was one. There's been a few Champions League ones over the years as well. So it's always a spicy fixture. So I'm obviously nervous about it. I'm nervous about every bad game, but if you were to press me for a prediction now, I would take a draw, but I'm gonna just say
save that thought because I'm going to ask you about the games coming up this week. Quick fire predictions before we go off air. And this Premier League week actually kicks off on Thursday night with Crystal Palace against Brighton.
Thursday night?
Yeah, football. This weekend kicks off on 21st. That's Crystal Palace against Brighton and finishes off on Christmas Eve with Wolves against Chelsea. So it's spread out across 4 days.
What's your thoughts on that? A Christmas Eve match?
We'll come on to that when we're doing the predictions now. Crystal Palace against Brighton, 8:00 Thursday night. This is actually a rivalry. I wouldn't call it derby. It's a rivalry. Called the M6 derby, but it's I can't remember reading up on one stage, but there is some sort of there's a needle between the two teams. I don't know if maybe James knows, but there is some sort of history between the two teams. They don't like each other at all. And that's why Glenn Murray was criticised when he moved. I think to Brighton. He moved to Palace. But I think he went back to Palace.
It's a strange one because it's a game that I would never like sit down and go, this is going to be a feisty one. But I've watched a few of their games and it can get a bit tisty. Like.
So how do you see that game going? Roy Hodgson Ball isn't winning too many fans with the Palace fans, but they got a great result away at Man City. But these are the type of games where Palace fans expect them to be more on the front foot. But I just think Brighton will dominate possession and Palace will play the counter-attack again. I'm
going to go 2-0 Brighton.
2-0 Brighton. Friday night football. Can Aston Villa go to the top? Well, go to the top of the Premier League. Probably couldn't ask for an easier game at the moment. Sheffield United, yes, they got a good one against Brentford, but all or not, they've been poor this season. Will Villa be top, do you think, on Friday night?
I would imagine so. I'm going to go 3-0 Villa.
Tell you what, it would be like this Premier League record if all the way the Premier League's been this season, if Sheffield United were to go there and stop their own.
You never know, like, because United stopped our run yesterday, so you never know.
12:30. West Ham against Man United on the Saturday. West Ham are flying at the minute. To be fair, they had that blip against Fulham, but all or not, they've been pretty strong. As we were speaking about Kudus yesterday, he's been unbelievable.
I'm gonna go. I think United. I'm gonna go 2-1 United. What, you Man United? That is
2-1 to Man United. No way, that's an easy game. You see, Villa, only Villa. Fulham against Burnley. How do you see that game going? 3 o'clock.
I think Fulham will get back to one ways. I'll go 2-0 Fulham.
Luton against Newcastle.
Newcastle, they won 2-0, and as we say, hopefully there's no problems in that game.
No. Man City Brentford's postponed due to Man City taking part in the Club World Cup. So Nottingham Forest against Bournemouth.
1-1.
I really think Steve Cooper needs a result. I think if he wasn't to beat
Forest,
if he wasn't to beat Bournemouth, I think he could be out. But we'll see. I really hope they get a result because I really like Cooper. But not going to be easy.
He was at Liverpool for a while. He was at Liverpool for a while as our underage coach.
Yeah. Final 3 o'clock game: Spurs against Everton. This is the first part of the podcast day, so hopefully it gets off to a good start for me.
Who's home?
Spurs.
I think with Spurs been at home, they'll nick it, but I'm going to go 3-2. I think it'll be a good game.
Liverpool against Arsenal, 5.
I'll take a draw, but I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. I'll say 2-1.
And finally, Christmas Eve, Wolves Chelsea. How do you see that game going?
I think Wolves will win 1-0.
Wolves. I think you're asking me about Christmas Eve football. I think it's great for the fans at home watching it, but not so good for the players, coaches, and the fans that are traveling to the game.
They don't care. Like, it's whatever's going to make them money on the day they'll do, isn't it?
I think it's over 100. I think it's a 130-mile trip for the Chelsea fans on Christmas Eve, which isn't ideal. But hey, people will travel because they love their club.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't have much sympathy for Chelsea fans. I'm not a fan.
Owen, thanks very much for coming on. I know it was a difficult one for you after the weekend. You're back on Thursday night. We're doing a Premier League Christmas quiz on Thursday. So anyone watching, that'll be something. Maybe if you don't see it live, you'll be able to maybe even do it with your family over Christmas, because obviously sometimes you'd be stuck for stuff to do, and we're going to be doing the Premier League.
Must get my books out now and start studying.
That's fine. Study all them records, study everything, because it's not going to be an easy quiz. I'll tell you that. So it's going to be testies.
Is it all Premier League, eh?
All Premier League based. All Premier League based. So hopefully the viewers enjoy that. Sunday, get them on the for Christmas. And then I think on Friday night we're doing. I think on Friday night we're doing the Liverpool Arsenal podcast with Stefan and Callum, so that'll be quite interesting because MT have been exchanging a few blows in the comments section, so that'll be quite interesting to see how the two of them come together for that. And I'm going to be very interested to see this 1-11, the combined 11 between the two.
Oh, I could do mine now if you want. Quickly.
Go.
I'll go Alisson, Van Dijk, Gabriel, Trent, Zinchenko, Rice, Szoboszlai, Havertz, Salah, Jesus, and Martinelli.
Surprised he left out Odegaard.
I just think he hasn't been great in form this season. He's good, but
who was your front three?
Salah, Jesus, and Martinelli. I left Saka out because Salah's on the right.
Jesus, Martinelli. I think you have to find a place for Saka in there somewhere. I know it's difficult. James is in Belfast, so we can always replay the quiz back, James, if you're stuck for something to do over the next few days. But Owen, thanks for coming on. We'll see you on Thursday. And you never know, you might be in better form if Liverpool get through to the semi-finals of the Cup.
I am in better form now. It was just yesterday was just a hard day.
Sometimes these can be doing a podcast can be good therapy for these things.
Aye, always enjoy getting on.
Alright. Thanks again, Owen. Make sure if you're new around here to smash the like button and subscribe for more content. We'll be back on Thursday with the Christmas quiz. Until then, we'll see you next time.